Welcome to Burning Bright, a weekly podcast presenting poetry and prose from Passenger. Officially, Memorial Day is the day we remember men and women who died in American-fought battles. But it's also a day when we remember our friends and relatives that have died, and many of us visit the cemeteries that they're buried in. To mark the occasion on this edition of Burning Bright, some poems about fathers and those who came before us, by two of Passenger's most recent book authors, Mark Elber and Fran Markover. First, from his book, Mark Elber's poem, Requiem. My father went to sleep in his skin in the sun-flushed morning, in the flat-lined morning that shoveled a pit into my 35th year, spadeful by spadeful, and the sky collapsed over Queens. If I could, I'd revive the sound of his voice barely caught on a few bargain cassettes, the accent of his generation driven from the villages of their birth, the bellowing lung sacs of roosters squawking through the pebbled alleys, the straw beds, the well-stubbled streets of mud and stone. If I could replay the red hair of my youth when Atlas stood 5'6" in a stethoscope before we swallowed our love songs to each other, I'd exhume his spoken-word lullabies, the chain of Slavic syllables that links me to his father's dark forests, to the kinks in his beard, to the warm lips buried in a riddled clearing, 10,000 corpses deep. Requiem, a tribute by Mark Elber to his father and, by association, his more distant forebears. Fran Markover wrote this next poem, Bittersweet, about her husband's father. The night of the burial we head for ice cream. At Purity, my husband recalls his father's love, baseball, a storyboard of bunts, comebacks, blowouts. After games, we'd toast each nail-biter with malteds whenever Finger Lakes seniors won big. His dad, as if hearing cries of "good eye," would size up each rocky road or mud pie. Thinking of his father, my husband orders double peppermint chip, notes how Dixie cups are smaller than when his folks were alive. Can't anything stay the same? Will Monster cones shrink to kitty scoops? We taste the bittersweet, sure that my father-in-law would have ranted at chocolate morsels so puny they slip unnoticed, shrouded inside all the confection. We sit in the car, bundled in parkas, fine-tuned Bound for Glory on the radio. Eat dessert first, blinks, reddens the wall. In January chill, our breath forms a Milky Way. Bittersweet, Fran Markover, from her book, Grandfather's Mandolin. Fran wrote this poem for and about her husband, Ron Schoeneman, Psalm for the Caretaker. Mornings, he pulls weeds at the cemetery. Here he's close to his parents, to the baby's sister he never met, her grave found when he divined it by holding a metal rod. He pushes a rusty mower by the rows, nodding at names, carved cherubs, flags waving like wings. He tips his cap to the men who taught him to pitch fastballs, offers thanks to the church ladies who latticed rhubarb pies, honey trickling down crusts for the bereaved. Behind the woodshed he bows to the paupers buried without granite. In August heat he's sweat and muscle, grass clippings scattering onto the buttercups. It's a blessing, the quiet, the solitary birds perching on stone. He's a good son tending to family as if they're rocking on the porch, watching as he waters the garden, gathers tomatoes for supper. He plucks cantaloupe, mother and father asking if he could pick lilies from the field for the table, as if his mother's voice rises from the ground, saying, "Oh my God, I'll be darned, those orange petals, how beautiful, and the melons so ripe." Psalm for the Caretaker, Fran Markover. Let's end this Memorial Day episode with Mark Elber's Prayers for the Dead. I think it's a poem we can all relate to, regardless of our ethnicity. What stitched-together sounds can I offer the silenced, blindsided by darkness, sealed with night under a lid lathed from a tree and lowered into the mute earth? What words that migrated out of the sea to slither up the sibilant shore and offer a slew of grunts that slowly found its own music, while the tongue groped between stun and awe? Here among the cries stoppered in their guttural glory, among pollen and seed, the trickle that births the torrent before the senses grows senseless, and we are ebbing, humbled. Our skin kissed each other awake. Our voices break in the surge as we resurrect the lush palette of touch, the divine dance radiant, the defiant song of generation. Prayers for the Dead, Mark Elber. To order Mark's Morgenthau Prize-winning book Headstone, or Fran Markover's book Grandfather's Mandolin, or to subscribe to or learn more about Passager and its commitment to writers over 50, go to PassagerBooks.com. You can download Burning Bright from Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, and various other podcast apps. For Kendra, Mary, Christine, Roseanne, and the rest of the Passager staff, I'm John Shore.